So today we are going to be starting our February monthly makeup challenge. So I used to do these a couple years ago and I really enjoyed them and I wanted to bring them back for 2023. So if you did not already see January's video, that one was all about focusing on using up skincare and beauty makeup sample products throughout the month. I was going to start editing my January monthly makeup challenge and I deleted all the video clips. All of them, and they are unrecoverable. All right, we have just finished the last week of the sample makeup challenge that I was doing for January. So I didn't do as great. I didn't finish up everything this week, and I did sub in a couple items, so I will get to everything I did use up. Okay, so this is all the stuff that I used up this week. I'm not gonna go through like every single thing because I did sub in, like I said, quite a few things. Like I have some hair stuff in here that I decided to use up too. But let me do a quick count. We'll go through and see how many items I used up. Okay, wow, I did a lot better than I thought I did because I actually used up 37 samples this week. That was a really good one because I just didn't think I was using up a lot. I did a lot of moisturizers, a lot of little random things. I did end up using 2 face masks this week, or sheet masks rather, and some face scrubs and a lot of cosmetic samples as well. And I finally have been working on these 3 here for a while. I think 2 of these were the Amazing Cosmetics concealer samples, and then this was a lipstick sample, I think from Urban Decay. So those have been a long time going because I swear this lip product lasted me almost the entire month. So that was actually kind of surprising. But those are all of the samples that I have used up. So I'm actually very proud of myself for using up that many samples. And even though I am going to be challenging myself to a new challenge for February, I am going to try to continue doing the sample makeup challenge, but it might not be my #1 priority focus as far as my monthly challenge goes, but I definitely want to keep going because I still have a lot of samples left to use up, and even after all the foil packets I have a lot of like miniature bottle samples. So this is probably going to be an ongoing challenge for probably for at least in the next few months until I use all that stuff up. But I do have a new challenge that I'm going to be working on for February. It's going to have to do with some makeup products. February, we have a new kind of like an add-on type of challenge that we're going to be doing as our main focus for the month. And that is going to be doing a different eyeshadow palette every single day. Now, this is going to be a little bit more of an intense one because I really want to go every single day and do my eyeshadow and stuff. Sometimes there's days where I'm just like, okay, slap on a little mascara and call it good. But for this month, especially since it is the shortest month, I thought it would be really good to do the eyeshadow palette for this one. So this one's going to be a really fun one, and we are going to pick out 28 different eyeshadow palettes, and we're going to pre-select these all at the beginning here. That way I already know which palettes I'm going to use, and then I'll just pick from those 28 on a weekly basis, or maybe even a daily basis. We'll just kind of see what I'm feeling like in the moment. But we have to choose, and I've got a lot of eyeshadow palettes to choose from. I do think I'm going to keep most of them to more of like a smaller type of makeup palette, and since I'm going to be doing a new one every single day, I'm just gonna like have a really good option of different styles, different colors. I might have a few crazy out there ones, I might have a few like neutrally type of palettes. We're just gonna get started and see what we choose for 28 days of February. Okay, so first off, the first palette that I did use today is my Everyday Favorites palette, just like the name states. This one's from Ulta, and you guys, I love this eyeshadow palette so much, and I love the formula of it too. I love it so much, I'm hitting pan on a few shadows here, and there are some that I'm about to hit pan on too. So this was the palette that I used for the very first day, and of course I had to include this one because this has pretty much been my like non-stop go-to. Like, I don't really want to think too hard about it kind of eyeshadow palette. This is definitely the one for me. I do have a lot of new smaller Morphe palettes that I got on sale a while back from Ulta, and I haven't even had time to play with any of these yet, so I don't want to just pick a whole bunch of these and just make that all I'm using. So I think I'm only going to choose, let's do 2 or 3. I will choose 2 or 3 of these palettes as options for February. So I'm going to go through, kind of look at these and try to figure out which ones I'm going to use because it might be hard to narrow it down. Okay, so this was really hard to narrow it down from these, but the three that I have ended up choosing, this first one is the Khaki Calling palette from Morphe. This one's fun because it has some neutrals in it, but it also has some interesting like khaki sagey greens to it. So that is my first choice. The next one I chose was the Cabernet Blush palette, just because number one, these colors look so pretty, and this is a little bit more of a more I guess a safe type of palette, but I don't really wear a whole lot of like pinky tones. So this one kind of has a little bit of familiarity with that, but just a little bit different. So that one. And then the last one I chose is the Smoke and Shadow palette. I thought this would be a really fun, good, like more smoky palette to try out. So far, those are the first three picks for this palette challenge. All right, the next three palettes have been chosen. So this first one, this one is the Sunset Skies eyeshadow palette from Ulta Beauty. And you guys, I have to say, I am so impressed with the formula of these shadow palettes. I hope they come out with even more of them. So these I'm definitely going to have to try out too, because I've had these for a while and I just haven't even gotten to use them like even once. So these have to make it into the lineup. So that one is the Sunset Skies palette. And then the next one we have is the Desert Skies. And this one is just a really beautiful, more kind of like a warm terracotta-y type of color palette. So that one's going to be really exciting to use as well. And then this next one is actually a custom Makeup Geek palette. Whenever they were announcing that Makeup Geek was closing, I wanted to support her and got a few more items. And these are the little like single shadows I picked out and kind of created this interesting palette. I think overall I like this palette, but something about the gold kind of throws me off, but I do like the gold as well. It's a gorgeous color. It's just something with this layout is just a little bit off to me, but I love these shadows and I just do not use these enough, and I'm not sure why, because these are some amazing shadows, and I'm so sad that Makeup Geek is going out of business, but I do really love a lot of her products so much. And we have so many more to choose from. I have so many palettes here. We're just gonna have to start like picking some and figuring out what we want to use. Okay, I definitely think I want to see if I have any of these that are mini eyeshadows. Some of these are face products and some of these are mini eyeshadows. So I think I'm going to kind of look through these and pick out, we'll do one of these. Okay, so the next batch of palettes, you guys, I just kind of went with some random choices. A lot of the ones I tried to pick were either ones I've never used before, because it's shocking at how many eyeshadow palettes I have that I've actually never used, or some that I just haven't used very much, or just some that might even be a little bit out of my comfort zone. So that's definitely what I was going for with a lot of these. And then of course I do have a few like comforty zone palettes in there as well. Okay, so this next one is from Makeup Revolution. This one is the Violet Crush palette. This one is a bit more of like a purpley kind of palette, but it does have that one little brown color there. But I thought this would be nice because I don't do purple eyeshadow very often. So that is kind of like I have a couple purple palettes in here, but this is one of a few. Next up, we have the Dominique Cosmetics Celestial Thunder palette. This one's really pretty, but this is kind of one that's a little bit kind of scary. So this is what that one looks like. It's got those really bright, punchy, like pinks and oranges, and then that turquoisey blue, but then there's like some really fun shimmers up at the top. So I think there's a lot of cool things I could do with that one. And then this one, I've had this palette for so long and I have never used this one. It is insane. I think that this one is from Glamlight. Okay, yes, this one is from Glamlight. This one's called the Dirty Martini palette, and this one is just a gorgeous green palette. There's also some fun little golds and bronzy colors too. I can't believe I haven't used this, and I've probably had this for like at least a year or two. What the hell, you guys? That's why I like to do these challenges, because I have way too much makeup. All right, next I chose a Natasha Denona palette. Now this one is kind of scaring me because I don't know what I'm going to do with this color-wise, but I wanted to challenge myself. So this is going to be a challenging one. I mean, I could easily do something real simple with these ones, but I do want to kind of like work in these colors too. So yeah, this one is the Jubilee eyeshadow palette. So we'll see what we end up with this one. Then this one, I really love this palette, and I can't believe I haven't used it in quite a while. This is from Alamar Cosmetics, and I think this one is the Reina del Caribe. Yes, volume 1. I do think I have the volume 2 as well. This one is just such like a fun, really like pretty summery palette. Again, lots of like warm tropical kind of colors, but then there's like those icy blues, kind of like the ocean. So this should be a fun one. And then this one's just so pretty. This one is from Kaleidos, and this is their Futurism Volume 1 Lunar Lavender. This one is so pretty. This one is gorgeous. I can't wait to do this one again. Another like more purpley toned palette. Next up, this one I literally have never used because I just peeled the ceiling sticker off there. This is the Electric Mood palette from e.l.f. and Tiana Major 9. I'm not sure who that is. Pretty sure I got this palette on one of their sales, but this is such a pretty palette. Again, lots of like bronzy red tones and then like a few pop of blues, but this one's really pretty as well. Can't believe I've never used it. Next up, we have the Ciate London. I think this is the Velvet. Yes, Velvet palette. And this one I'm really kind of interested in what I'm going to do with this because there are all looks to be shimmer or satiny finish eyeshadows, and I'm a fan of having some matte eyeshadows to mix in, so I'm not quite sure how this one's going to go, but I don't think I've ever used this one. Next, I love this palette. I've only used it a couple times just because, like I said, I have so much stuff. But this is the Milani Gilded Getaway. I love the packaging of this. It is absolutely adorable. And I think that this one will be a lot of fun too. This one's got like a really fun like pop of red there. And the packaging is just so much fun. This one's got a good mix of mattes and shimmers as well. Next, I have chosen the Hip Dot Cenote palette. I think that's what it's called. Cenote. I'm not sure how you say that. But either way, this is a more bluey green. Again, I don't think I've ever used this palette, but this one's just so pretty. Again, a lot more heavy on the blue side, which is going to be interesting. I definitely want to try to like keep in mind that I want to do looks that are going to kind of captured the spirit of the palette. Now, of course, I can only use so many shadows on my eyes, but I definitely don't want to just like cop out and just use like that and that and that because I feel like that's not very representative of the palette. So that's another thing I really do kind of want to keep in mind with each palette. Okay, next I have the Zoella ColourPop one. I have to say, I really don't really know who Zoella is. I mean, I know of her, but I never watched her. I wasn't like a big fan or anything, but I thought the packaging of this was so cute. But then the palette itself is a little bit more on the low-key, dare I say, boring side. I mean, there is that like pop of blue there, but I don't know. I just feel like this palette could have been a lot prettier, so I just never really found myself using it very much, but hopefully we will give this one a go. And then this one, I absolutely love this palette, and this one is from Flower Nose, and this one's gorgeous. This one is the Incredible Kingdom palette. This one is just so pretty, you guys. This one has a lot of like really pretty, fun, shimmery topper type shadows in here, and then some really fun, pretty mattes as well. So this one's just going to be like a really ethereal kind of look. All right, next up we have the Shroud Cosmetics Butte Bean It's Freaking Bats palette. This was such a palette that was like hard to get for a long time. Luckily, I just like happened to get in early on it, and I got mine like very quickly whenever they were first coming out with this. And this is probably one of the most unique color stories I've ever seen in an eyeshadow palette, let alone own. I did have a couple small casualties on here, so I'm going to be very careful with this one. But again, I don't know how or what I'm going to do with this one, but we're going to have fun with it. It's going to be a little bit of a different look for sure. Next up, this is an Ofra palette. This one I believe I got from BoxyCharm. I think it's called the Good to Go palette, I guess. And this one has a few face products in it as well. And for some reason, I definitely don't think I've ever used this one before. But these like colors are so pretty. I don't know why I've never used this. And then that like shimmery tealy like minty green is really pretty. So this one will be a fun one. Like I said, I don't know why I've never used this before. And then next up we have the Coca-Cola 1971 Unity collection from Morphe. I love the packaging of this, and the colors inside I love as well. Again, this is one of more of like the larger like palettes as far as how many colors that there are in here. But this one I used just a couple times. I remember loving the look that I came up with this one. So this one will be really interesting to see what we do with that one. All right, next up, this was another random palette that I got, I think from BoxyCharm, and I'm not even familiar with this brand. I guess it's Dido, and this is the Venus palette. This one's actually really pretty though. This one kind of has more of like those baked kind of eyeshadows and stuff, and this one's really pretty. I can't wait to see what that one looks like. But then there's like this really interesting like pebble texture one, and then there's a few mattes in here as well, which is great. So that is the next choice. And then I did choose two Jaclyn Hill products from Morphe. These I got from, I think from TJ Maxx on sale. This one is the Dark Magic palette. Again, this one kind of goes more towards the bluey green side of colors, but then there's those nice matte browns to kind of mix in, make it a little more wearable. And then we also have the Armed and Gorgeous palette. And this one's just so pretty. This one kind of like reminds me of like a fall pumpkin patch or something. So that one, I think like this gold color really is calling my name. And then also that khaki green or olivey green color. All right, and finally the last three palettes I have chosen. These are ones that I have either never used before or only used once or twice. This first one I have is from Ace Beauty. This one is called Scarlet Dusk. This one's definitely a red toned palette. Like that crimson color is like almost a neon orange pretty much. So that one's going to be a really pinky red type of look. Then finally we have two ColourPop palettes. This one I had to get. I'm not actually a Star Wars fan at all. I never watched Mandalorian. So I just got this because I really loved the actual eyeshadow palette colors. And I mean, Baby Yoda is absolutely adorable, but that was not why I bought it. I just love this color palette so much. And I didn't realize I chose so many green palettes, but I'm going to have really a lot of fun with them because I just feel like green eyeshadows look so pretty on my eyes because I have green eyes and I just don't utilize green enough. So this might be a greeny month. And then finally, the last one I have, this one is the Ticket to Dreamland palette. And this one has like some really pretty kind of more jewelry tones in here. So can't wait to see what we do with this one. All right, guys. So this is all of the palettes that I am going to be using throughout the month. Like I said, I'm probably going to just like either plan it out by week so I'm not doing like the same type of palette over and over. Like I don't want to do all my purples in one week or all my greens in one week. So I'm going to kind of mix it up a bit and just really kind of have a nice, I guess, variety of shadows. And one last thing I wanted to mention, I'm not going to do like tutorials or anything with it because that's just way too many. So most likely what I'm going to do is just do the look off camera, kind of show you like the overall look in the palette side by side so you know what palette I used, and just kind of do like really quick either clips or compilations of all of the eyeshadow looks that I do throughout the month. I am really hoping I stick to this and don't skip any, but it is possible that that could happen. So if that is the case, please cut me a little bit of slack. But overall, I'm going to try to do my best to use a different palette every single day. Okay, so these are my first picks for the first week. Now, of course, I do reserve judgment to change up any of these as far as what I have already pre-chosen. So if I just wake up one day and I'm got my palette for the day and I'm just not vibing with it, I can totally swap it out for any of the other palettes that I've already pre-chosen that I have not already used. So no repeats and no new picks, but I can swap with whatever I have already picked out. So I think for now, this is going to be the first week option, and then we'll probably just go from there. And then of course I will be adding in all of the sample products that I want to use as well. So those are just going to get mixed in. And again, I'm going to keep doing that sample part, but I'm not focusing on it. So if I don't do as great at that, then that's okay, but I do want to keep that going. completed the February monthly challenge. It's now March 1st, and I have to say I think I did a really good job at using up all the palettes. There are only 2 that I did not get to, so out of the entire month, those are the only 2 days that I did not wear makeup, which that was kind of a lot. You know, I wear makeup usually every weekday, but not always every weekend, but I wanted to try to do the best I could with this challenge. So the 2 that I did not get to is the little bit more out there palettes. So this one is the Celestial Thunder palette from Dominique Cosmetics. So I didn't get to use this one. I ran out of time. And the second one I didn't get to use was the Glam Light Dirty Martini palette. But I will be coming back to this one because I'm super excited to try it soon. But we didn't get to it this time. But all these palettes stacked up in this little bucket here, all of them did get used, and I'm so happy for that. So thank you guys so much for watching my February makeup challenge, and stay tuned because we will be starting the March makeup challenge today. And maybe you can have a little hint at what the challenge is going to be, but stay tuned. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, please like and subscribe. You can follow me on Instagram. Link is below. Until my next video, I will talk to you guys later. Bye.